Buddy, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being my first fucking person on
We
here.
can swear?
Yeah, we can swear.
Okay,
this is my show. I can
dropping F-bombs.
Yeah, man. I don't care about that at all.
No, I'm prim and proper.
Sweet.
I'm good.
So I actually wanted to start this off with like how I first actually met you. So I actually want to tell this story. So it was at the Rogers because we used to work at Rogers together.
I was trying to remember.
Yeah,
we know each other a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So it was at Rogers where we met first, and I walked in. I remember because I was doing the classes. I was doing a kettlebell class there.
Yes, specialty program.
Yes. And I would always see personal training. So before my class, I would be there, and I would literally probably watch you for like 5 minutes, on and off. Just like, what is this guy doing? You know what I mean? Scanning, like, cause I always feel like cause with condo life, I'm always at condos and I would see trainers train and then I'm like looking at them like, okay, cool. Like, what is he doing? Like, how is he talking to his client? Like, what are the warm up techniques they're using? Like, what's happening? You know what I mean? Like, and I always kind of like, not necessarily want to use it personally, but just like to see how other people do it. Cause in my industry, it's hard. Like, as you know, it's hard to like see people in their element, like see their trainers in their element to a certain degree.
So was that good?
Yeah, man. Well, like, it was inspiring. It was always inspiring.
You catch me on my phone, and, like texting. Yeah, give me another rep. Okay, 2 more. 2 more.
No, because I noticed that, and I noticed that with other trainers, and I'm just like, fuck, you're not for real. You know, like you're not for real, and that's why when I saw you, it was like, hey, what is this guy about? Like, and I would like, who's Julian? And I was just like, and I would find out, like, you would be able to see, like whatever from like either your website or like from your Instagram to be able to see like what you're about. And from there, I was like, all right, I like this guy.
Back then, were we on Instagram?
What's that?
Were we on Instagram back then? Like,
yeah, or Facebook, or maybe
4 or 5 years ago,
or maybe Facebook. But like, yeah, Instagram's been around since what, like 2011?
Yeah.
2011.
Yeah.
So like,
it has been a while though.
Yeah, it's been a while. So like to see that like change and everything, but like from the get go, I was like, okay, this is the kind of level that like, you know, I would like to aspire to be, because you have like you have a lot of like, education, right? You have a lot of things that you've done, and it's important to have those things. And a lot of trainers don't really take the time to educate themselves. They rather spend it on things like, you know, getting new pieces of equipment or getting new clothes or shit like that, versus like educating themselves so they can better their clients. Right? Okay, sweet. So I wanted to just go through like a couple of different things that you've done. So I read actually your piece on Furthermore.
Oh, which one?
Yeah, the
mindsets?
Yes.
Okay.
The most recent one. So like, how does it feel to be like featured on like things like, because I know you've been featured on other blogs and other websites and other things like that. So how do you feel like usually when you do something like that?
Like super humbled.
Yeah.
Very, very humbled, because the way that I express myself best in this time of my life is through writing.
Yeah. Okay.
I love to creative write. I love to do poetry.
Yeah. I
like long form write, blog writing, research, and all that kind of stuff. I just find that writing allows me to convey my ideas much more smooth, but expressive, also respecting science. Whereas when I speak, so when you asked me to come on the podcast, speaking is not my forte for some reason. Maybe I smile too much, and my mouth gets all locked up and whatnot. I don't know. I just don't find that I can express myself the best. I'm working on it. Yeah. Public speaking as well has always been like a thing that, But to be featured on these either blogs or just platforms to share information to the general public is super humbling, and I find it continues to excite me. Yeah. And it gives me more reason to share what I know, but also do more research and also stay relevant to the industry, because if these guys like Furthermore, Equinox, if they're asking me to write about, you know, what I'm doing, like if they're interested in ultramarathon running and they're interested in sports psychology, that is that's a huge hint of what's popping, what's gonna pop, and why they're looking at me, you know, as opposed to, you know, track and field for example, you know. So it's a good segue into the market, and vice versa. So it's cool that you read the Furthermore blog, because not many of us, we're all doing our own thing, but to gain insight into the marketplace and see what the general population enjoys, it's a huge thing.
It's huge. And smart. Yeah. Well, like I find just like being able to be able to like look at other people and what they're doing, and like being able to like, even though that's not my forte in terms of like ultra marathons or things like that, I think it's very interesting, because it's still the psychology behind it is very important. Like to be able to do something like that, to run 100K, just like is insane, and to have that mental fortitude to do that is crazy. So like, yes, I think it's important for these blogs and websites to feature people like you, because it's important to see what kind of mindset you have to have. People think it's like 100K, or like they see marathons, they see people do marathons all the time. They're like, oh, okay. But like to actually know what it takes, and like, cause people just stop doing things all the time, right? They will start something and then they stop, right? You know, like you have clients that will start something and then not necessarily finish it. And I think if people understand the mindset that they need to have in order to achieve that goal, then that's the biggest part. I feel like that's the biggest part.
I think everyone's different in their approach in terms of psychology. A very typical archetype of ultramarathon runner is someone who's suffered a lot in their lives.
Okay.
So they could be a drug addict. They could be, you know, someone who's had traumatic issues in their past. A lot of it is dependency on drugs. Yeah. And they flip one drug into another drug, and one obsession to another obsession. Yeah. So that's the typical story, where they just swap out one thing for another obsession, and they just go crazy with ultramarathon running because it excites them the same kind of way. Yeah. Instead of doing something for the negative, they go into the positive. To me, that is not my story. I've actually been really privileged to live an amazing life, and my parents, you know, I have them to thank for. So I don't really have those painful history and stories to work from, to really use as fuel. Yeah. It's something called adversarial growth, or fuel from adversity. And people use their pain, you know, and their suffering, and they use it to push them in the opposite direction. And so when you understand that there's a continuum of energy and how you use that energy, then you can really start to chase after your goals and dreams. But for me, I've never had the depth of negative to push me into the depth of positive. I've been that like pretty neutral, happy-go-lucky guy, but yet I've pushed because I'm curious. Yeah. What does it take to get there? Yeah. Without having to use tragedy and triumph as motivation. I'm like a normal dude that enjoys regular life and stuff like that, but I'm irregular, that I love unconventional curiosity. I'm always looking to learn about the next thing and what everyone else is doing and how I can make an impact into the world of positive. So that, in essence, is a difference in my story, and I think it's much more accessible to everyone else. That's why I think Furthermore asked me, hey, have you done, you know, martial arts as a kid? Yeah. And I'm not a typical Chinese. I was just saying to them, I'm like, I did like a lot of things, but I played team sports like soccer, basketball, tennis, golf, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't go into martial arts. It wasn't a thing for my family. Yeah. We're very Canadianized, but we still respect tradition. So when they asked me, oh, what are these mindsets from? Did you have to practice them when you were a kid? Are they ingrained in you? Are they a part of your genetic build-up and makeup? Yeah. And I said, no. I'm just interested in it.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. So have you trained someone that had like that adversity before and that wanted to use that to kind of fuel them to do something like an Ironman or do something like an ultra marathon, and that you had to deal with that kind of like emotional, like I'd say emotional barrier that people have to kind of get through in order to reach that without like either burning out or breaking themselves emotionally and or physically, right? Because I find that happens most times if people tend to use that for that purpose, right? So have you ever had to deal with that before, or?
Yeah, I think like emotions or whatever you strive to use to help aid your performance, you got to use it just like any, I would say, drug. You know, if you abuse it, then that's obviously not the best. But if you know how to use it and you know why you're using it, and your intention with it, then things can be much more to your liking and much more to your benefit long term, sustainable and longevity based. Yeah. But if you're, using emotional tragedies and those kind of situations to help, and you're relying on that stuff to help, I don't think that's a healthy way of acknowledging and respecting the past.
For sure.
So I've had clients for sure that have, gone through some traumas and some issues and even are still going through them. But how can we use different types of energy and different types of inspiration to help get us through obstacles, roadblocks, achieving our goals? There's so many things that you can use. Don't have to just dump into the bad stuff, into the tough stuff, to get you through it. Yeah. There's so many ways of using it.
And I find that's what makes a personal trainer, right? It's like that next degree of being able to know that person's mindset and be able to help them cope through that, because the gym is a very intimidating place to a certain degree, and people let out a lot of emotion. I've had clients cry all the time. I've had clients get mad. I've had them vent. They're always doing something where they're releasing, right? And I find that really does help to a certain degree, but yes, it can drive a person to really take it on and not be like you are curious about it, right? Rather than just trying to I feel like they're just using it to a certain degree to kind of not either deal with the situation or just kind of avoid it altogether, right? You feel that, let's say you had someone that's sick in your family, right? And you use that instead of using fitness as a way to kind of release, you kind of use it as a way to kind of not deal with the situation, right? And I feel like mental health really does play a key thing into not only helping you release a lot of that emotion, but it should be a way for you to release, not necessarily to kind of avoid, right? Release, not avoid. That's what and I honestly feel like I've seen a lot of people that have gone through that, and sometimes it does help them in the short term, right? Where they can use that adversity to lose weight or to run that marathon or to to get stronger, right? But there's always that point where they get to that point and they either break down in front of me or they just stop altogether, right? And it's finding that right mindset for that person and being able to have that conversation as a personal trainer to kind of help them cope through that, because it's a difficult thing. They're coming to you for a reason, right? And I find with a lot of personal trainers these days, they do not have that personal approach to it, right? And that's why I still love doing the one-on-one, even though group training, we both do group training, it's good to a certain degree, but that one-on-one still allows you to find out how that person is, go a little bit deeper into their lives. Because I love that. Human behavior is very interesting to me, right? And obviously it's interesting to you because you know a lot about the psychology behind training, right?
Sure.
So yeah, I think that's super, super interesting.
I think one thing that's important too, even as a personal trainer, we wear many hats, and sometimes we pride ourselves with that ability. But another thing that has helped me is, as a professional, you have to know your boundaries and also your scope of practice.
Yes.
What you are trained in is where you should stay. And if you get too invested in someone's emotional issues, that's not your responsibility, nor should it be their moment to share that with you. There should be clearly drawn lines of what's a little bit too much and what's not enough. And that fine line can be a sense thing, you sense it with someone. But in terms of what we offer as a service on a professional level, you have to manage that and not let those two worlds blend too much. There's pick your battles sort of situations. And I've gone through, many clients that have, dumped everything on me, and I've never said, and I made those mistakes of saying, yes, I can help you, I can help you, I can help you. But I've gotten to the point in my career where I'm like, not mean about it, but clear about it.
Yeah.
It's important to check yourself and leave your emotional baggage at the door when there's other work to do that can help, offset that stuff and trigger the spark to change.
Yeah.
And our base education is kinesiology. And so we know how to work with human movement. And that's the smallest change that you can make, but it can make a big cascading effect everywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, you move the body, it sparks a chemical change.
Definitely.
And that chemical change within the body, within the brain, is then manifested with, positive hormones or sensations of like, a dopamine release, serotonin release. And that gives people maybe more perspective, more insight into themselves. And that triggers even more positive change. But if you go right into like the therapy route, you're dealing with something that you don't even understand.
It's true.
Even your own psychology, your own emotions, right?
It's true.
So let the other professionals, I like to say refer in.
Yeah.
So instead of referring someone out and saying like, oh, you should go to this therapist, that therapist. I have a friend, we work together.
Yeah.
She or he is in, psychotherapy or whatnot. And even being very sensitive about that.
For sure.
You got to really feel that out.
For sure.
So
it's tough because I find it's not necessarily, it's things that they can definitely go to a therapist about, but I feel like most of the times it's just that they want someone to vent to because they don't necessarily have that either at home or they don't have that at work or they just don't have that with any friends that they can potentially have those conversations with, like how shitty their boss is, like how shitty their husband is.
Someone impartial that they can talk to.
Yeah, that's not necessarily in their inner circle. So that alone, that dumping that alone is kind of not only affecting the fitness aspect of what we're trying to do, we're trying to train, but it just kind of affects their emotion moving forward. And I find it very, very difficult to try and to separate the two. Very difficult because you're there, you're alone, and you're one-on-one with the person. Like they just want to say absolutely everything, and especially as you start to get more comfortable with the person, they feel like they can tell you even more things, right? And it's just like, I don't want to be there like, okay, shut up now, do this, right? And it's like, and then when they start crying, it's like, what do you do at that point, right? It's crazy. And it's what people don't really realize is the psychological, like, aspect that it's on the trainer.
The weight that we hold. Yeah, we have to hold space for people.
People think it's all fun and games, like, oh, you're a trainer, that's so cool, like, you're just training people and having fun and working out. And then people don't realize, like, no, like, when you're one-on-one, you're dealing with egos, you're dealing with, like, all these different types of
baggage, emotions,
everything. And everyone's coming super intimidated by the gym because they're obviously hired you for a reason, right? So they're intimidated already, and they already have previous notions about the gym, so they're already gonna feed off of that on top of everything they go through in their daily life. It's a lot, you know what I mean? And I don't think people really take that in.
I think one thing that I've always aspired to kind of bring back is, what was the gym back in ancient Greece? It was a chance for people to be with each other, focus on the human body, connect with other like-minded individuals. But what's interesting is that we nowadays have personal trainers, right? Before they had personal philosophers. So they would hire a philosopher to just spend like an hour with so they can talk about stuff.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so nowadays I think we maybe have a responsibility, or maybe to tie it back to before, we teach people about the human body, but instead of psychology, maybe philosophy. Maybe talk about ideas that are worth diving into, things that spark creativity, maybe things that can help influence the psychology. I feel like philosophy to me can be held more optimistically than psychology.
That's true. That's actually very
Psychology is learning about the brain and how it operates and how it works within, but philosophy about the things outside, the ideas that could potentially change your mindset, could change just your vision of things, your biases on certain things. It really opens the mind to a different way of thinking. So perception, perspective.
That's huge. Those two things are huge. Perception and perspective. Like, people don't have that these days, but that's definitely another conversation in itself. Okay, that was good. Sweet. So, you know what? Let's go into some crazy training stories. I want to hear one of those. You have to have one. Crazy. And when I mean crazy, I mean like...
What do you mean by that?
Like, okay, so, for instance, like
me training a client or my own?
No, like you training a client. So let's say you're training a client and they were just totally not agreeing with anything you were saying. They didn't want to do things, or they're just a client that cancels all the time, but like, either that or like a crazy time that you had to train someone, or like something funny that you had to do in order to train someone. Anything in those kind of like.
I'm a pretty mind, body, spirit kind of guy. Yeah. So I would say, just in my defense, I don't let it get to that point.
Yeah. Okay.
That crazy.
Okay.
But there's been moments, and I'm sure people feel the same way, when you have a client that's not ready, and they're either running late, and then they come and they're all like, "Oh my God, I'm here!"
Yeah, and
they're still not settled down, and they're just not fit for the session.
Yeah,
you know, like, you got to come ready because you've invested time for yourself to bring either your A game, or this is me time.
Yeah,
and why? Like, why abuse it? Why like not make the most of it? And so I've had clients that have shown up either late or just not ready, not prepared, going drinking from last night. They come and they're like, "Oh, I want to sweat it out."
So no verbal abuse, nothing like ever like anything like happened to that degree.
No, and when those moments happen, I just call it a day, and it's
just like kind of done.
Yeah, you know what? These last 10 minutes, you're not here.
Yeah.
I need you to be here.
Yeah.
Your heart may be into it, but if you're not here and you're not ready for this, let's not waste each other's time. It's better that you just go home.
Okay. So it sounds like you definitely have had a conversation like that before.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. You gotta be stern with that, because you don't want to waste your time.
Yeah.
You don't want them to waste their time.
Yeah.
Nor do you want them to hurt themselves when they're not ready for the program that you have designed for them.
Yeah, that's going to be huge for sure. That's going to be huge.
Kind of boring, not really crazy. I've had like the puke.
Yeah.
The mid session puke.
Yeah,
and
probably a lot of times.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but usually it's not necessarily because I drive them so hard.
Yeah, they just
or the demand. It's just because they don't know their boundaries and they want to. Compared to their need, the balance of the ratio of want and need is not there. Their body awareness, their motor control, it's just not checked in.
Yeah.
So that's where shit hits the fan.
Have you ever had anyone injure themselves in a session before? Like, that was like really bad or anything like that? But not to say that like it happened because you did it, but like, let's say they were just like on the treadmill and then just slipped by accident. You know what I mean? Like,
in non-personal training, but in group classes, there's moments where some people have like either tweaked an ankle because equipment was not set up properly.
Okay.
And you just triage.
Yeah.
You learn how to keep your cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best thing is I like those situations. Not to the degree that people are going to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
But I like to see how I am under stress.
Yeah.
Or under a really unconventional, almost SOS emergency situation. How do I act as someone who can either show leadership in a situation that's just so surprising, shocking? Because usually we're so in the routine and everything's so automatic and everything's so like comfortable and luxurious, and I've set it up here, I've set it up there, they're going to do this. I can basically predict the entire hour. But when something goes wrong, you can't just let routine take it away. You have to be able to think on your feet. You have to improv. You have to show leadership, responsibility. most people either, under those times of stress, they fight the situation, and they fight other people, or they freeze, or they just fly away. The 3 F's. Under stress. Fight, fight, and freeze. And I've had moments of that, but the more you get into those situations, the more practice the more time you spend in those situations, the more you can alter how you can influence the people around you.
And I feel like that's very
I like that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And I think that applies to everyday life as well, right? Because you can apply it to everyday life, and because you have erratic people, or you be in situations where it's confrontational, and to be able to dissect it, not only be able to dissect it, but then be able to then apply your knowledge to it, or to be able to kind of figure out how you're able to kind of go through that confrontation with either a superior figure, or someone that you're close with, like your peer or whoever, right? Because those confrontations, they do happen, and people oftentimes avoid them, or just don't know what to do, right? Don't know what to necessarily say. So I think,
the point of the gym and training with us is, how do we make them better in the gym for out there?
Yeah.
We lose sight of, we're not just operating here within here, and how to maximize to the test or to the gym or to the deadlift, so that next week come back again. It's how do we take the deadlift and apply it to the outside world when you least expect, a deadlift of a suitcase that you don't pull your back out. Or it's sometimes I think of, doctors when someone has a heart attack and they have to perform CPR, sometimes they freeze and they don't jump in, but that's what they're trained for. Or, you know what I'm saying? They don't apply themselves to when it really matters.
For sure.
Because when you're training in a session, everything's just so, again, luxurious. It's planned out. It's a luxury too, right?
It is.
Those who can afford it. So I just find there's the importance of function and practicality and applying it to real life. Utilitarian mindset. That's the philosophy.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And that's where that buzzword used to come in a long time ago, where people were using it a lot, functional training, right? And people were using it for absolutely everything. You would hear functional training everywhere. This is functional training, right? And people didn't really know what that meant, right? And it's literally what you're saying. It's you applying it to everyday life. And not even just for yes, the deadlift for sure, picking up boxes, but for the fact that when we're doing things that require muscular endurance, right? And you have to push through in order to finish that last 10 seconds that's left, and be able to push through that last little bit, is definitely can apply to your life, and being able to push that last little bit to get the promotion you want, or push that last little bit in order for you to be in the relationship that you want.
Yes.
Right? And putting that effort in, and it starts with your body. And I find that when people are able to put that type of focus on their body and making sure their body's right, then everything falls into place, right? Because as you said, the mind and the body are connected, and they work together. So to be able to have those two things linked is going to be the key for you to be able to have a better life, and have a life where you're in control.
Sound body, sound mind. What we do in the gym is just a little showcase of what we do out there. And then also the other way around.
Right?
If all your life is in turmoil outside and you come to the gym, how do you expect results and whatnot?
Exactly.
They have to be able to collide together and be cohesive. And work off of each other, complement each other.
100%. Sweet. Yeah. That's good. I like that. So right now, what are you what are you doing in terms of training right now? What are you into right now?
My own personal.
Yeah, your own personal training. Yeah.
I'm in maintenance right now, but I don't want to say off season. I don't think there really is an off season. You can have off days.
Okay.
But because in our career, you always have to be in it, and I'm always looking forward to the races that I want to accomplish. So triathloning and ultramarathon running. I've got 3 races planned for next year.
Okay.
2 half Ironman. Half Ironman is a triathlon. It's the first part swimming is 2 to 2.5 kilometers. The second portion is biking for 90 kilometers.
Okay.
And then the last portion is running for half marathon, 21 kilometers. So
So this is a long way there.
Yeah, it's about 5 to 6 hours
Okay.
of continual movement.
So the first time you ever did it, what was your time the first time you ever did it?
I think it was around the high 5s.
Okay.
So 5 hours and like 45 minutes.
Okay. And then your most recent one, what would you say?
I think I cut it down to like 5:10 or something like that.
Okay.
I shaved down a good amount of time.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Not all half marathons are the same because the courses are different and the terrain is different.
Yeah.
So the time can vary quite a bit depending on the difficulty of the terrain.
Do they give you the route in advance so that people go there and kind of like practice it beforehand?
Yeah, for sure.
So you have like a whole group of people that go there beforehand and kind of like...
For sure.
How many days in advance would you say you would go to like kind of like...
Test it out?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to travel for them, but the ones that I do locally, it's actually a new methodology that I took on, simulation training. It's very important to simulate your race day conditions. And so for not triathloning, but actually, you know what? The Muskoka half Ironman, I spent, like weekends at a time going to Muskoka and then riding and seeing the terrain, seeing the hills, feeling it out. And that really helped get me to the faster and faster times. And that's just something that I picked up over the last 2 years. And I do that with ultramarathoning. So the last race that I did earlier this year, it was called the Sulphur Springs 100 Miler, and it was in Ancaster, Ontario. That was my first time doing a 100-mile race. And so when you ask me about training, I've been training with that in mind, with a 100-mile in mind, because I'm planning on doing a 120-mile race in British Columbia called Fat Dog. And the thing about this race is that it's the overall net elevation of climbing is the height of Mount Everest.
What?
Yeah. So by the end of it, I would have climbed Mount Everest.
What?
About 8,000 meters.
Jesus.
Yeah. Of continual climbing.
That's insane.
Yeah. So that's the world of ultramarathoning. But what I was saying before about like simulation training is my 100-mile ultra that I participated. I was lucky at the same time. I was really dedicated and focused. I won the ultra and I broke the course record for first time doing 100 miles.
Yeah, I saw that.
At that course, which was amazing. But I owe it to my planning and also a lot of the research that I had done ahead of time. And so I trained up. I knew I was going to do it. I had many markers or key performance indicators of like, am I on pace to doing really well?
Yeah.
I had things that I needed to get done as milestones before going to the race.
Yeah. Key is preparation.
Preparation is opportunity. Yes, huge. For sure.
So like that, I feel like that's the only way. Like that's the only way it can happen, right? Especially for something like that requires that much physical. No, I wouldn't say it, but like that much physical activity. Like if you have to do 120, like I mean. I feel like you would have to, that mindset. I feel like mindset at that point has to be stronger than the physical body.
Your body has to be a certain level, but there's only so much you can do in terms of training your body. It goes beyond that. There's a hierarchy or a totem pole that you can think of, your mindset, your psyche, the way that you visualize, the way that you hear things, the way that you take in information, in those areas of learning, how about how you eat, as you make your way down through the systems that are needed cohesively to put out such a high level of performance. They have to work in sync, but there is priority level. There's only so much you can do with the body. There's only so much, reps you can get in. You get to a point where your body just is a slave to your mind and your spirit. Yeah. And when you can tap in to like the emotional, the psychological, the social environment, the higher things that control your physical body, then you've tapped into a whole different world of training. Yeah. And that is my world. That's like holistic training, where you have to take all these systems. So the study of holistic training is based off of cybernetics. Okay. Cybernetics is a term that describes systems that depend upon other systems. It's a study of systems.
Okay.
And so, for example, like when you run a race, your musculoskeletal system has to depend on your nervous system. Your nervous system needs to depend on your circulatory system. Circulatory, respiratory, digestive, hormonal, endocrine system. And it goes on and on and on.
That's true.
And so the human body has to be interconnected.
Yeah.
Just like our tensegrity model, that model that tells us your finger here is actually attached all the way down to your other toe. Yeah. There's all these slings and these strings, this fascia that create this baseline netting that tie everything together. It's that layer that strings together the nervous system, the skin, the muscles, the tissues. So those principles, those concepts, I've only learned over time. A lot of that stuff I've learned earlier through the Czech system. Paul Czech is like my guru. Czech stands for corrective holistic exercise kinesiology, and it's not. I don't do as much corrective, but I do focus more. There should be part of it more in the psychology, psychosocial, emotional stuff. And that's a new level of our training that I think we need to dedicate more time to.
For sure. Well, it's super important as we've
been talking about the whole time.
Because it's a big part of just how people train and what kind of training people do and why they do certain things and what pushes them to it, right? And everyone's going to have their certain thing that they're going to, the reason why, right? The reason why they want to do something. And whether that be getting ready for their wedding or doing 120 miles, right? Like 120 meters. Like it's for me, it just depends on the mindset. And I feel like mindset is huge. So the fact that you're training people to figure out their mindset versus not only figuring out their mindset, but figuring out their physical bodies, like those two things, people don't really interconnect and they think that they just have to be, I have to run like this amount of times a week, and then that's all, right? And they don't really take in those other things into consideration, which definitely affect how they prepare and how they move forward and progress with their journey, whatever journey that they're on, right?
Yeah, it's a patterns over parts mentality. So we think of ourselves, a lot of the times we think of ourselves as cars. When you think about the body, it's like a car. But the problem with that mentality is that, let's say you hit a flat tire, you go to the shop, mechanic switches one tire out for the other, and then you're good to go. Yeah. Okay? Your car is good to go. It's the same. Whereas for us, you have a bum knee, you tear your ACL, you go back, you get your ACL fixed, and then are you the same person? No. You can't perform the same way. No. You've been affected above and below the knee. Your psychology is different. You're now that much more hesitant to do certain things because you have that. So we are not cars. We are interconnected. So it's going to take a lot out of you to either get back to where you were or pivot and change and grow with this trauma. And be able to acknowledge it and be like, I'm not broken. I have so much more. I'm a bridge now. I'm going to be that much more mindful about how I use my knee and how I can better improve all the other things around it. So therefore, you have to start making pattern-like connections to help adapt.
And the thing is too, is that I find people do have that, like when something happens to their knee, they don't want to, they avoid a whole bunch of things because they don't want to destroy it further. Right? But I don't find people take that extra step in order for them to do the things necessary for it to get better or to get to what they wanted it to be. Right? They use that as an excuse moving forward. Right? Versus, okay, I need to make sure that I'm constantly taking care of my quad. I'm constantly taking care of my calf. I'm constantly taking care of the areas around the knee in order for that knee to heal properly, in order for that knee to rehab properly. And people don't do that. They'll go to physio. Physio will show them, do this. They don't do it, right? So, and they wonder why things are not happening. And the same thing happens with us, right? People come to us and they want all these things to happen, and I find that they don't do the things like the homework or things necessary for them to take that extra step, take that extra initiative to become better, right? And it's very interesting to me that like people don't really take the time to do that for themselves because it's their body, right? And that's the biggest part about it. Like learning about rocket science is one thing, but learning about your body is important. You're living with that every day. You want that to last as long as possible, right? So why are you not doing the necessary things to make that happen, right?
It's like if you tear something in your knee or you break a bone, it's like a breakup. It's like a relationship breakup. You've either been
foreshadowing,
but you've been broken up with. Yeah. In that case, it could have been because of you. It could have been because of the other person. Yeah. But there's a phase, of course. You get down and you grieve over it. You think about it. You listen to your pining playlist. You get sad, but you got to get yourself out. You got to pick yourself up and get your shit together.
Get your shit together, people. Get your shit
together. Be responsible for what has happened to that situation so that you can move on. You can't just continue to either self-loathe or pity. You have to, and it's not just you and your responsibility. Take it upon yourself to share it with other people. Ask for help. Yeah. If you've gone through breakup in terms of your romantic life or relationships and stuff like that understanding that we take from the outside can be brought internally too. So to develop a relationship with your body is a huge first step to love yourself, to appreciate it, and to cherish it. Yeah. Because if you have this like brutal relationship with your body and you use and abuse it, it's just a part of you. It's just something that gets you from point A to point B. Yeah. That's the only body that you have.
You only get one spaceship.
You only get one spaceship. I love that, man. That is amazing.
And my friend says that, Graham. I credit you, buddy. But
that's like, amazing.
Yeah, you only get one spaceship. Like you only get one body, man. Like you have to treat it right. You have to do the things, and on top of that, not only just taking care of it, the body can do amazing things. As you know, like you've done amazing things. Like doing Ironmans is an amazing thing that a body can do, right? And it just shows to how we developed as humans. Now we're like back in the day, people were doing 100K for fun, like, or not for fun, for like to eat,
for survival,
for survival. And
now we're doing it for fun.
And humans can still.
We're crazy. No, we're testing the limits of human potential.
And then humans can still do that, but instead we sit in chairs all day. You know what I mean? And like, yes, you have to make a living and things like that, but people don't have those animal instincts anymore, those instincts to do those things because we live a sedentary lifestyle, right?
We're soft.
But
we're not soft.
No, but let's get into some soft things now. So,
well, just to cap it off.
Yeah.
When you talked about the spaceship thing, a quote that popped in my head, one of my favorites is Marshall McLuhan. He says, on planet Earth, there are no passengers, there are only crew. The same goes with your human body. You're not just a passenger in your body, you are a crew member. When something goes down, you gotta fix it. You gotta take responsibility. Yeah. You can't be passive in this active, dynamic thing that we've been given. Yeah. It's so important to really make the most of it. And that quote goes on to everything that I do. Yeah. And every team that I work with is that there's no free ride. Yeah. You get out what you put in.
It's true.
And there is a responsibility on all of us that live on planet Earth.
100%.
To be a crew.
Well, that's very well said. Like very well said. And I honestly feel like, and that's a key way to think. And that perspective is people don't have that. Like you have this body that you could do great things with, and people waste it, right? People are wasting it. And there's other people that don't have that ability, right? They don't have the ability to walk. They don't have the ability to do the things you can do.
Yeah,
right?
That's perspective.
It's huge perspective, and people don't have that. They're just like wasting away in the chair all day. You know what I mean? But
timing.
That's how it goes.
Timing. It just depends on people's timing and readiness to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's dive quickly into. Well, I won't say quickly. It might be a little while, but relationships a little bit.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit about that. And the biggest thing I want, because as another person that's in this industry, I don't really like having conversations with other people about relationships is very interesting. Like when I'm with my one-on-one clients and stuff like that, having those kind of those kind of conversations are interesting because people don't really understand like what it's like to like, I guess like entrepreneurs would understand more than anything else. Like if you have someone that's an entrepreneur and they're dealing with someone that is also an entrepreneur, you guys can work like side by side. But I find that when you don't have a person that understands your lifestyle, like understands what it takes to be in this industry, then I feel like relationships end up falling short to a certain degree because you constantly have to explain yourself of like what's happening and like why you're working these hours and like why you have to like meet up with these people and like do this and do that. And I think that's the biggest thing is like the first thing is just like basically like going through like because of the fitness industry, how has that affected your relationships either now or in the past, if it has.
Especially as someone who's very hungry and driven to do a lot of stuff. It's taken a lot of time to communicate clearly, not only to the person, but to myself. What do I want? Where am I going to draw my boundaries between working and not working?
Yeah.
How do I put that out more clearly to the girl that I'm dating or a past girlfriend or whoever? Being clear with that comes first with clear with myself and holding priorities and managing my priorities. If I'm in this place where right now career is my number one, I'm going to make sure I communicate that. And I have to be clear about that. It's hard. You can't always, in certain situations, you can have your cake and eat it too. But in this level, I don't think you can. And there's been times, you learn by lots of mistakes that, and humbling experiences where I think communicating priorities is very, very crucial. And when people understand how passionate, how driven, how purposeful and meaningful the work that you do is, they have respect you even more. And those aren't the people that don't understand are not for you, and they're not for you at that time. And so I think that there definitely has to be a dance both ways, because you have to look at the other person and be like, okay, what is she or he interested in? Why are they doing what they're doing? How do they manage their expectations and set those onto you? It's very important to be able to communicate that, but you have to know what you want inside yourself first before you go out and venture into a shared lifestyle. Because that's what a relationship is about. It's about, sharing and coming together. You can say compromising, but it can be elevating too. Because you gain just as much, if not more, from another human being when you have that. And I enjoy that. Right now I'm single, and I enjoy those moments when I am by myself, but there's other moments where when I'm in a relationship, I learn so much about life. That's like the best travel is like a great education, but being in a relationship, I think, is even more, because it teaches you so much about you, and it's so raw.
It is.
And you're not in control. Remember I said like the triage thing. You have to step into those different roles that you may not have had that much practice in, which is what makes being in a relationship extra special. Traveling is a great educational tool because, you're in different environments, you interact with so many different things, but you're in control most of the time. In a relationship, it's a two-way street. So
I think that's a tough thing. I find it's just tough with how everything is constructed. And I find a lot of time I'm spending, I'm in a relationship now, and it's great, right? But there's obviously things that happen where it has to do with work that I'm just like, there's a priority. But at the same time, you obviously love the person or you care about the person enough where it's like, okay, am I still affecting their feelings? Like, how can I do both? But like, it's a tough balance, right? And it's
preparation, man. And then, so how I've managed, so I can take my relationship stuff, take my relationship with my parents and put it onto, let's say, romantic relationships. I've learned to really master the art of hanging out with my parents and building a strong relationship with them, because I prepare myself and I almost procrastinate on when I share the information. Not procrastinate, not last minute, hey, mom and dad, let's hang out. Yeah. It's more like, okay, let me tell you in advance. Here's what I would like to see you and do this, this, and this. And lay it out so that you think ahead. And that mom and dad are like, oh, wow, he's like really thinking about this. He's smart, you know? He's a good boy. That can be applied to your relationship. Yeah. Like, don't throw shit last minute and expect your partner or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, whatever, to react and be like, oh, sure, yeah, I'm game. Yeah. Or, of course, do your thing, babe. Yeah, yeah. It's more like, take the time ahead to plan according to your schedule, according to your priorities, and say, you know, tomorrow night we're supposed to hang out. We're going to do that. The following day we were supposed to do something else, but I have something that came up last minute. Yeah. But what I'm going to do is we can't do that. But the following weekend we're going to do this for sure. And you kind of, I don't know. That's from my experiences, and I feel like that really, really helps to lay it out and then communicate it. Yeah. Or this really, really means a lot to me, and I'd really appreciate if you came and supported me. Yeah. If you don't, I can understand, but it's just something that means a lot to me, and not make it as transactional. In return, I will do this for you. Yeah. It's more like just showing how passionate you are about what you do, and that communication from the heart and the soul really transfers. Because if they love you, they're going to be there for you. Right?
So, yeah, speaking of communication a bit, though, do you find, because you're obviously at a different, higher level of communicating and being able to have those kind of conversations, do you find that, let's say, have you ever had an experience where you've had to deal with someone who is not necessarily a great communicator? And, like, how are you able to, like, yeah, I find that happens like every day, not necessarily in my relationship, but like in like with my parents and everything else. Like no one really like actually listens, right? And I find that's a huge thing why communication tends to fall off. A big part, like a huge part.
I think that I think that I do as a defense for myself is to not take it personally when someone's not able to listen to what you have to say or things just aren't jiving. You do your best to communicate what you want to them. And it's not just the what, it's a how you say it, right? Yeah. How you form that passing of information. But how you say something is very important. But if they react either negatively or they freeze up or whatever, you don't immediately take that in and start shooting yourself down. Like, oh, I didn't say this. I should have said that. Yeah. Well, maybe I was thinking too far in advance. Don't go down that route. Let it sit. Let it marinate. Then eventually you can use your rational brain to understand what that reaction was.
Being able to step back from
so not jump the gun and react. So we say, don't react, respond. Yeah. Take the time to think about it. Let it shift and boil into your body. Let that movement get out of you when it hits the emotional cords. And then shift the brain from like the emotional side to the logical, rational. If you have the ability to do both.
Yes. And I find that's very hard for people to do sometimes. Very difficult.
And that comes with time, practice, patience, knowing yourself, learning from your consequences, your failures, your breakups, all that stuff, and embodying it and being like, okay, I've been down this road before. Yeah. I said this and I got a slap in the face or a kick in the balls or just a runaway or something I didn't expect. Okay, maybe I should take a step back and be like, okay, I remember this. Yeah. What am I going to do here? Yeah. Do I take the red pill or the blue pill? Door 1, door 2, door 3. What do I do? But as long as you take the moment to just assess, just pause without going right into door 1 or red pill. Yeah. That moment, Daniel Kahneman has a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. Okay. I'd recommend you read it. There's 2 systems of decision making. System 1, system 2. System 1 can be very fast. System 2 can be slow. Okay. But like logical. System 1 is about, and it's the context of those decisions, decision architecture. Knowing the context of your situation is super important. So for example, we're talking right now and you say something that might trigger me. We're in the space where I don't have to react quickly. I can chill out. I know we're in this relaxed environment we're just relaxing, we're enjoying each other's company, we're learning about each other.
Yeah.
But if it was a dire situation of like, you know, CPR or whatnot, Julian, go do this, go do this, go do this.
Yeah.
You have to think on your feet. You have to think with system one. You have to react instinctually.
Yeah.
You can't just chill and be like, I don't like the way you call my name. I'm not just the guy in the blue jacket. You know. And they're like, yo, fuck, this guy's dying. Help me out, man. You have to know the situation, right? The circumstances.
To a certain degree.
No circumstance and context. That's that way, when you know your environment, then you can condone yourself and either, you know, compose yourself in whatever situation needs you the most. So that's where, like, another big part of holistic training or holistic thinking is the environment is such a huge part too. Yeah. The context, the arena, the scenario, it really matters.
It does.
The geography, I don't know, the languages. There's so many things about the environment that you have to take into consideration.
For sure.
So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's a lot.
So there's a big misconception I find with personal trainers and what people think, especially when it comes to relationships. So a lot of times where I've dealt with when I was dating before, you get the question automatically like, oh, so like, have you had sex with any of these girls that you train? Or like, are any of these girls into you? Or like, are you flirting with all these girls? Because I find like, because of like, you know, society and like, and what people like portray on TV or portray on like, you know, even porno, right? Like they'll have like that personal trainer that comes in and they'll just like have sex with the girl or whatever, right? And people will think that like that's literally what happens. So like I end up having to break that barrier when it comes to like starting with someone new or like beginning anything with anyone, because they have that previous notion of what they've either seen on TV or what they've heard from a friend or something, right? Mm-hmm. You ever deal with anything like that before, or like?
Yeah, you have a certain level of professionalism.
Yeah,
that you got to hold together, and the don't shit where you eat rule is a big one.
Huge.
But you, as a normal human being, like you can hold to your rules, but I've had girlfriends that were my clients. Yeah. But from that built a relationship, a trusting, healthy relationship that allowed a deeper connection beyond the walls of the gym, beyond the 1 hour that we were together. Yeah. Those are amazing because you get to show yourself in your element and they appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And so there's been great moments, and great opportunities, but then there's also like lines that you cannot cross when you know that, you know, someone's being vulnerable to you and whatnot. Sure. I think it's very to the individual and your reputation, your respect for your craft.
Sure. So you've had to shut down a lot of girls, then, is what you're saying. That's literally what you're telling me right now.
Literally what I'm telling you right now. I'm not a player, right?
But you've been there and just like, no, I don't think we can continue anymore. You're always flirting with me and not following the rules. So
I think I get to the point where I nip it in the bud before it even happens. I approach it very Jedi, like, you know, like Star Wars Jedi. They know that this guy's like Zen monk mode. But if I turn it on, then they'll know. But I try not to let that leak in because, again, that's like, it's just one of my rules. Not all trainers have the same rules that they have, that they respect, but that's part of my playbook. And I just love what I do so much that I wouldn't want to get to that point. Yeah. But there have been many approaches and a lot of post-class, like just hanging around, just twiddling the thumb.
Little number slips.
Number slip. Oh, what's your Instagram again?
Get the DM.
All that kind of stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
There's a lot of those.
Sliding into the DMs.
Which is really nice. It's very, it means a lot. It means a lot. It's really, really fun.
Do you respond or do you just not even?
No, I'll respond with more of I feel humbled. I feel great about it. Thank you, but this is not the time and place to be doing this, you know?
But let's say she wasn't even a client. She was just like, you know, like some person that just saw your Instagram. She was like
a straight up cold call
DM.
I could entertain it. Why not? Why not? The why not lifestyle, right?
I hear you.
We get so caught up in I personally get caught up in the why, like, why did this happen? Or why, but like, sometimes you gotta go to, why not? Second best answer in the world is why not?
Yeah. No, I hear that.
The fuck it mentality. Just go for it.
Exactly. Little Mark Ronson, like, are you not giving a fuck, right? Just do what you want.
Just do it.
Do what you feel.
Yeah.
I hear you. Sweet. Okay, dope. Alright, sweet. Let's go into a little bit of what's the best album you've heard this year so far? Hip hop doesn't really matter. We'll go wide for this first one. What would you say is the best album you've heard this far? Today's December 1st.
I think Scorpion, Drake.
Yeah. That was the best. That was the best one.
I'm still like loving it. Yeah. I'm a Drake guy.
Part A or Part B?
Both, man. They're both like.
But you listen to one more than the other. You have to. You go through the whole thing every time.
I say Part A.
Part A.
Yeah, it's got more pump up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like nonstop is just on repeat.
Okay.
Whenever I want to get
what's the number one song on there? What would you say for you? Like you listen, like for sure you're listening.
Oh, damn it! Like I'm Upset is good, but yeah, Nonstop is good.
Yeah.
There's some deep ones. What was the song called? Is There More? That one's great because
Is There More is really good.
It really gets me thinking about that exact question. Is there more? Is there more to life? Is there more to what we do? Is there more to the stupid materialistic thing? Is there more to trying to ascend to a deeper level, to illumination? Is there more to that? Like that's philosophy, you know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
for sure.
That's why I like Drake. Because he asks those questions and he puts it out so amazingly.
Very vulnerable on that album. Like very like I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that album for sure. For sure. That was a good album.
So, that one's definitely something that's good. You know?
What about a song? Like, is there a song this year that you've like been playing like nonstop? Doesn't have to be an album. Like any like song like you've been playing in your classes or like you like hear and you're like, yes. So let me put it this way. Like, let's say the song that you're gonna like before you leave the house, you're gonna be like, I'm playing this song. Like you're going to go out party. Like we're going out tonight. What's the song that you need to hear right now?
Damn. Put me on the spot. Can I look at my Spotify?
Yeah, look at your Spotify.
Do a quick glance. Because we work with so much music, right?
A lot.
Because we got to make sure that we create an experience for people. And that comes with not only personal training or teaching classes, great program design and exercises, but we got to think about the music and the ambiance and all that stuff. So there's so much to think about, and when you curate an experience, it goes deep. So I go through continual changes in my favorites. I can't believe you asked that. I'm just like I'm struggling right now. There's a DJ DJ Tools by Oliver Heldens. Okay. And Martin Solveig, and all DJs have like, I think if you type up DJ Tools, there's songs that are not actually songs. They're like transitions. Okay. And they use them to help transition one song to the next, or just to build a mood. I don't know. It's just maybe not an actual track that they've produced. Hence the word DJ Tools. And so I think Martin Solveig has one called Linda Beats. Okay. And it's like very jungle. Okay. And it starts off with like bongos. Yeah. And it goes, and I use it for my warm-ups. Okay. No vocals. And it's long. It's like 6 minutes. Okay. And you can lay, I'm sure as a DJ, he could transpose lyrics on it. Okay. Get an artist to sing on that. Yeah. Or not. Yeah. But it's just like, it gets me in jungle mode. Okay. And when I teach my classes, or if I'm going out, I kind of feel like it brings back summer, you know? Okay. All right. I like that. So DJ Tools, if you're interested. Search that up. Just search up DJ Tools and you'll find some really cool stuff. For those that are looking to program, either for cycling instructors, for sure, DJ Tools is really, really helpful.
Good to know. All right, man. let's get into some this and that. This is going to finish it off. We're going to wrap it up with this and that. So this and that is going to be we're going to say two, then we give you two options. Okay? From those two options, you choose one, and then you give a little brief, little description of why you chose that one. Cool? So first one is dumbbell or barbell?
Dumbbell.
Dumbbell.
100%.
Why?
Because I'm currently into it, but I've always been into unilateral training, single-sided exercises that have more freedom of motion. And I feel like the dumbbell, you can produce many more movements in more dimensions and more planes than a barbell. Barbell is what it is. You can lift a lot there, but the world of integrated movement relies heavily on loading different parts of the body in different directions.
Yeah, and dumbbells
are the best for that. Yeah.
All right. And then we kind of touched on this, but single or relationship? Which one would you prefer?
I'm a really good boyfriend.
Okay.
If there was a career or like whatever, I'm actually really I've been taught well to be a good boy from my parents. I have all the great skills. I know how to cook. I like walks on the beach.
Ladies, you listening?
Cooking is huge. I like to play piano. I like to set the mood.
This guy's doing a whole Tinder profile right now. This is awesome. I like this.
All that good stuff. But I'm a softie. But I also I'm not a player. You know, I don't go out and just like date this person. I'm emotional.
I hear you.
I like to invest my time and my energy in someone. And to have multiple people that I'm dating or whatever, it's an emotional roller coaster. Yeah. It's a lot of energy. Yeah. And I think as a trainer and as someone who does group classes, you got to reserve that energy for your people.
It's crazy. It's crazy how much you have to be able to reserve. Like, it's nuts. Yeah.
And if you're all over the place, you know, like dating this girl this week, dating another girl that week, that takes a lot of energy. So how do you, if you love what you do and you're good at your craft, you got to put that stuff aside and really be focused.
Yeah, honed in for sure. Good one. Yeah. Bike or run?
Run. I'm a runner, man.
Runner.
I love running. Running is what I was born to do, what we're all born to do. And it helped me for so many things. Yeah. Cycling is great too, but I just like being on the road with my own thoughts, either podcasting or just meditative exercise, running for a performance. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole? Better lyricist. Which one is the better lyricist to you?
I think Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. Kendrick.
I think the world has spoken.
You didn't take in J. Cole's last tape? Like, you didn't like that? It wasn't that great for you?
I haven't investigated too much into it. But he is quite a genius in his. Yeah. But this or that, this is tricky, man. You're going to be a lot of people arguing what those two worlds represent, right? Yeah. So, there's so many things. It depends. But on a personal level, I like Kendrick more,
Cool. Squats or deadlifts? Squats. Yeah. Over deadlifts.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, man. Yeah. Squats, because it's a great way to just hang out and just do a lot of things. You can eat. Yeah. And squat. It just seems like it's more applicable overall. Yeah. I mean, deadlifts, you have to have weight, right? Yeah. Squats, you can have weight, but you can do a lot of stuff with it. True. You're talking about like squat pattern or hinge pattern, right? Yeah. They're both very, very important. Yeah. But in general, I think squats are where it's at.
Best exercise. Cardi or Nicki? There's a battle. I don't know if you know, but who's
Cardi's new and she's got an interesting voice. They both got like weird kind of voices. Yeah. Can Cardi sing?
I don't think.
See, that's the thing. Like Nicki is like what Cardi, she opened the doors for people like Cardi, right?
Yes.
So she is the GOAT in her world.
Yes.
And anyone that comes after her is because of her. So I would say Nikki for sure, because she's so diverse in her skill set and all that stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
Nicki Minaj for sure.
Dope. Sweet. And then, okay, this is the last one here. So, one night stand or friends with benefits.
Oh shit. That's
a big one, right?
Tough one.
That's a tough one.
I'd say because of the emotional stuff, one night stand.
Okay.
You know, like quick and clean.
Yeah.
Nothing's attached. Whereas friends with benefits is like, oh, you are asking for trouble.
It's more emotional.
Or both.
Yeah. Or both.
Or
just not give a fuck. You just do both.
Yeah, you can turn one of your friends with benefits with a one night stand, and that's it. Just leave it that way.
Then it's done.
Or your one night stand can end up being a really cool friend.
Yeah. True.
I don't know, man. There's a lot to it. But if it was those two, yeah, one night stand.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. That was dope. Sweet. That's it, man. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for freaking coming, man.
That's the last question.
That's gonna end it on.
Okay,
but know that it's not gonna. Is it up? It's good. Done. We're done, right?
You want a sign off?
Because we're not gonna be doing it like that, right? Because I'm gonna be doing it in clips only. I'm not gonna have like the full thing. But I guess this is my first podcast. I can have it raw like this. I don't give a fuck.
Unedited versions are good too.
Yeah.
If you have it, at least if you have it, then you could draw from it.
Yeah.
Because there's the podcast that I listen to on Being by Chris Tippett. She uploads an unedited version and an also edited version.
Oh, okay.
And she says that she gets actually both people liking both.
Okay.
And double viewership.
What?
Because people want to listen to the raw, uncut stuff, and then they want to listen to the clean, if they haven't caught what the other one has put out. So it's pretty interesting. So that the listener gets to be in the room more because they hear like the little stuff
that's going on in the background. I think people like to hear that kind of stuff. I think the more raw it is, people think that like
it's like a voyeur / like if there's a listening version of voyeur, audio voyeur version, people like to just have something in the room, just like radio, have something in the room, just like listening to stuff.
So you know, sign out?
No, I don't think so.
Live, love, and lift.
Yeah, that would be the sign off, right?
Brought to you by Jay Ford.
Is it on right now? It's still rolling?
Oh shit, record it.
Well, fuck, man. Yeah, this is awesome. Like, thank you for coming to Live, Love, and Lift. First episode. It was a pleasure. I mean, I constantly want to do like this was awesome. Like, I want to do this all the time now. Like, this is like be able to just have like authentic conversations and just like have that and like be able to not just talk about like one topic the whole time, kind of like anything that's kind of going on. I think it's important for people to see us as, yes, we're fitness trainers, but we're also human beings. Like, we're not these people that are just like posting things that we're like, we're constantly doing these crazy workouts or we're constantly posting about workouts where we actually have lives, that we actually think about things. We have like, things that still bother us. Yes, we're confident in the gym, but there's still things that like, that we go through that are still like super new and super difficult to like navigate around. So
I think what you're doing is also really valuable because now we have technology. We have the ability to create platforms to share the insiders and reach out to a community that may not have the opportunity to listen in or be heard. Yeah. And so what you're doing is really important. It's like, I heard a quote today. It's dig the well before you're thirsty.
That's huge.
And what you're doing is you're contributing to a greater good. You're allowing yourself to be you. You're allowing myself to be me in a place that's unconventional. Yeah. And we get to share our minds, whether we have, whatever amount of listeners or not, we become better because of it. And so we're connecting, we're letting down our guard, and we're just becoming more, open.
Yeah.
And, it's just the way of the future. It's called the connection economy.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah. So we're dipping into that.
Yeah. Love that. That's awesome. It's fucking good stuff, man. He's fucking dropping gems all day. This guy drops so many gems. So many gems. Like, there's so many clips that I could be able to, like, to use. Like, it's crazy.
Cool.
Like, you said some crazy shit, man. Like, it's, yeah.
That's good, man.
Yeah, this is the podcast that I wanted to have compared to the championship.
Yeah, like it's
because I don't know. Also, because I thought when we were talking about nutrition and how it can affect maybe your brain or whatever. I was so hungry, so I scarfed down this jerk chicken, and I was fucking sweating, salivating, like all that shit. And I'm like, no, this is not good. I didn't prepare myself properly.
Yeah.
Because I was and then I was like fucking burping like this.
Yeah.
Like that. And I'm like, this is good that it's not video.
Yeah.
Because they see that shit.
Yeah.
So that's
awesome.
This is redeeming.
Yeah. No, that's sweet. No, that was fun as hell. I enjoyed that a lot.